Hi, welcome to Kausa. Today's topic is IAM policies and roles and its contents.
IAM policies, IAM roles, and IAM best practices. So, if you take on IAM policies, identity and access management. So, policy is an entity in AWS that defines the permissions. So, it contains different permissions, whether the request is allowed or denied. Policies are stored in AWS as JSON documents. It is either attached to principles or resources. So, identity based policies that you can attach to your principal. So, these policies control what actions that identify can perform. Categorized into AWS managed and custom managed. Policies that attach to a resource such as S3 bucket. Policies control what actions a specified principal can perform on that resource. These are inline policies. So if you see a template of an AWS policy, the JSON format is JavaScript object notation and version will be optional policy. If you take a statement, it contains all the effect and actions. So effect is the policy that allows or denies the access. Action is a list of actions that are allowed or denied. Resource is a list on which actions can perform. And principal, that is who is granted the permission. Conditions or circumstances under which policies gets accessed. So if it's in default deny, it will check if there is any deny. If it's yes, final decision is deny. If it's no, it will check if there is any allow. If it's final decision is allow. If it's no, final decision is deny. So it can be an explicit deny, then explicit allow, then default deny. So if you take on the policy, so here we will be creating a policy. So this is the format of C. So we create a now policy. So we choose a service. So here we are going to do an S3. If we see the actions, we are going to see the read only. So it explains what are the options in read. And the resources, we select the bucket as any. we give name as Corsair S3 and also give the description. So we go ahead and create the policy. So once the policy has been created, we'll be getting an option like this, like Corsair S3 has been created. So if you check the policy, you will get the options like the policy summary, JSON policy, so these are the format of JSON. There will be an option to edit all the policy also. If you see the main tab, you have the policy usage, where you can attach the users. So Henry and finance experts group is there. So the policy, the Corsair S3 policy has been added to finance experts group and as well as the Henry user. If you see the tags, you have the policy version and also you have the access advisory. So we will see the access advisory in the later part. If you go to the main dashboard, as if you go to the account settings, there will be an option for the password policy. You can change it. Here you can give all the required policy settings. That is, you can give the uppercase, lowercase and the number. So you can change the password policy whenever you want. You can update it. So here you see the minimum length is 8, uppercase, lowercase and one number. And also you can find the status as active. You can deactivate it at any point of time. So these are the password settings and IAM roles. So identity and access management, if you see the roles, used to delegate access to users that normally don't have access to your AWS resources. So users in your AWS account and users in one AWS account to another account. Mobile app to use resources but not want to embed AWS keys within the app. And also users who already have identities defined outside of AWS. If you take on a IAM role, because it used to delegate access with defined permissions without to share long-term access keys, when EC2 accesses AWS resources, this should be avoided. When same EC2 instance assumes a role, the credentials are not stored. So these are the important things why we need the IAM role. If you take on the fundamentals, you have the roles, AWS service role for EC2 instance, and also role chaining. So role chaining is an important option. It occurs when you use a role to assume a second role through AWS or API. If you check on the other fundamental, you have the delegation, that is granting of permissions. Federation, it's a creation of trust relationship. Trust policy is a document in JSON format. Permission policy is a document in JSON format which is used to define actions, and principal is an entity that perform actions and access resources. So if you log in into the console and into IAM, you can have the roles. If you create a role, it will ask for that is which type of entity to choose from. You choose an AWS account, web identity. So here you will choose the AWS service, and we create the use case for EC2. So we are going to give the S3 full access. Name it as cursor EC2 S3. So once the role has been created, you can check inside the EC2 option. You can go ahead and launch an instance. So you can check inside the instance that it has been successfully running. You can check with an ID where you can see all the options. You can see the IAM role. So you can monitor them, and you can assign the functions, and as well as you can change the settings later. So the best practices are you can lock away your root user, create IAM users, and you can have the unnecessary credentials, and also you can manage the MFA for privileged users. So So videos to be continued in the same playlist. So thanks for watching.